Jack, you're muted entirely, buddy. Muted entirely that whole intro. What an incredible way to start.
This is everything that I wanted to be already.
Shit, let's run it again. Okay, so for those of you that didn't hear me, which was everyone, welcome to Picture This, the best picture review show hosted by me, the one with the worst opinions. Here on the panel with me to find the ultimate best picture winner is Alex. Alex, how you doing today?
My voice is dead. I would normally be hosting the show, but I am good. I'm excited. This is the next 2 years of my life, probably. Oh dear God, what have I signed up for?
I don't know, and I'm afraid as well. Now, Matthew, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm looking forward to going through all these best picture winners. So, yeah.
All right. Yeah, you and I both. And Alex did have a very, very well-crafted opening statement for me to read, but I went on and screwed that up. Here's Coho. How you doing, Coho?
You can still read. You should probably still read it because Alex didn't put time into it. But
yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I am excited to be here. I am the chaos of this one. We've like very carefully crafted a format and a way to go through this show, and then I blew it up as soon as they added me to the panel, and now it's chaos incarnate. But I'm very excited to be here and commit what will likely be the next 2 years of my life to this show.
And finally, we have Spence. Spence, the only one that rivals me for the worst opinions. How you doing today?
This is bullshit. Coho's not the chaos. I have been dubbed officially by
chaos
one
and you are the
Alex
troll.
as the Chaos Goblin, and I need to be addressed as
the
such.
chaos man.
Oh, please don't bring the Chaos Goblin to this. All right. Here we go. Okay, so picture this. A World War I silent film about the brave men of the air service starring Carla Bow, Charles Rogers, and Richard Arlen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Picture This, the best picture movie review show hosted by me, the one with the worst opinions. It's week one of our probably unattainable goal of finding the ultimate best picture winner. Be quite a ride since, well, we've got a panel full of some spicy takes and a panel that would crush the Oscars diversity rules. I'm stumbling over my words now. Holy shit.
I forgot that joke was at the end. It would have worked better if I had delivered that.
It would have worked better. That is the joke that absolutely works better when Alex is hosting the Jack is hosting.
It would have worked better, but here's the thing.
That is a correct statement. However,
Jack, I really appreciate it, but my voice is feeling a bit better.
As we all know, it's not very white men are still the majority.
We're
going to run that back.
No.
So picture this, a World War I silent film about the brave men of the air service starring Carla Bow, Charles Rogers, and Richard Arlen. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Picture This, the best picture movie review show hosted by the person who's seen the least amount of them. It is week one of our probably unattainable goal of finding the ultimate best picture winner by committee, and our individual tastes will vary, probably because this panel has historically been filled with spicy takes, and it would also totally crush the Oscars diversity qualifications. My name is Alex, and I believe that Spider-Man is mid.
There we go.
Let's go.
There we go.
With me is Jack Binchuk, a known former child, Matthew Chen, who claims to have read a book once, Adelaide Spence, who refuses to wear shoes like a real adult, and Kaleb Coho, who allegedly has a star sign. That is our panel. This is going to be the next 2 years of our lives, assuming we make it this far. I'm really worried, and I'm also really excited because that is the life that we have signed up for. Mostly because of me, I think. I had seen the least amount of best pictures at this point. My ultimate rankings is a top 10, so we'll see at the end of this how it looks. Oh goodness, where do I start? Where to begin? I guess really with Wings, today's subject of our beratement or amusement, depending. I mean, I don't know really. I didn't see everybody's rankings. I guess really let's talk about what Wings is, and there's no real better person to talk about plot than the person that we all agree is like the plot player, and that is Kaleb Coho.
Absolutely. I'll say for my general thoughts here, I think Wings, to quote you, is completely mid. Wings is totally fine. It's not great. It's actually severely boring. I was very happy that there was an intermission, like an hour in to this 2-hour and 20-minute movie. I was like, okay, great. I could walk away for a while. Yeah, not a movie I love, not a movie I even really enjoyed watching, but there's enough in here that I wouldn't call it a bad movie. I would just call it a poorly aged bottle of Chardonnay.
Fair enough. What would you say happens in what is the plot of Wings?
Oh, I got the plot glasses on. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take you back to the year 1917, when only white men could vote. People didn't talk on film, and John Fitzgerald Kennedy had his entire head intact. What we've got here is the war to end all wars. Will there be a sequel? Definitely one, maybe two. What we've got here is General Boy Jack, not the Canadian. This one fucks. Jack is building a fucking car. I believe they call it the Shooting Star because this man, I think I got hit by one because this man cannot pick up a social cue to save his goddamn life. A woman comes up, talks to him, right? And she's like, yo, you know what happens when you see a shooting star? You get to kiss the girl you love. Boy gets in this car and says, bye. And goes fucking finds the one he wants to kiss. Woman he wants to kiss on a swing with our other dude, David. But let's be very clear. To kiss his best girl, not the girl. He's there to kiss David. Absolutely. Now that cues up this segment. Spence hit the song. This is our podcast within a podcast. How gay was my valley?
I did not put this
Welcome to How Gay is My Valley, the podcast within a podcast. I am your host, Kaleb Coho. Joining me, my co-host, Adelaide Spence. If you watch this movie, it is an absolute travesty in terms of trying to pretend to be about straight people. These two guys, literally movie ends with them like lip to lip close. How do you feel?
Gaytanic panic for only like 5 minutes. The rest is just really boring, like soap opera minus the soap.
You're not wrong. So I would say when we come back to talk about more of these movies with how absolutely gay they are without actually realizing it, right now Wings number one on the
gaydar.
On our gaydar. There you go. Number one on the gaydar. Thank you. Alex, you look like you're upset.
I did not approve that segment. I'm also, for the folks at home, we have not discussed at all what Wings is. Wings is a World War I silent film about people that went into the air service, and the women that love them, them, knew them. Really, is actually the thing. Some of them love them, but
Jack and David wanting to get the fuck on.
And the men that love each other, and Gary Cooper's in it for some reason.
Is Gary Cooper in this movie?
Oh
yeah,
he's a dude in it.
I just not pay attention to the movie. Who's
Gary
Cadet
Cooper? White. He's Cadet Dead Meat.
Is he the one that's flexing the flag on his bicep?
No, Cadet White is actually a very flat character played by Gary Cooper, who is their like bunkmate.
Okay.
And he like walks in. You're new here, huh? Well, I gotta go run some drills. Would you like some chocolate? All right, I'll see you later.
I totally must have like blinked because I didn't realize that was Gary Cooper.
So, I want to say something.
Immediately killed.
This is a spoiler podcast. We didn't say that at the top. We're just spoiling the movie. Should have watched it. If not, sorry. Someone gets shot, and there is some gay, but
also,
other than that,
plenty of gay. That's unintentionally gay, but very gay. So yeah, the car. There was the whole thing with the building of the car. And if anyone knows anything about cars, this man literally just rips a car apart, and somehow it works. Just keeps taking the body off this car, and then just fly. Somehow that makes it faster, but the motor still works. Jack Pinchuk, noted car expert. Thoughts on the car mechanics in this movie?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. I know nothing about cars. I am the worst person you could have asked.
Someone clipped the part where he said, "I know nothing." We will use it all the time. Anywho, so then I believe the next thing that happens in this movie is we go back with David to his parents' place. His parents are like, oh my God, my baby boy going to war. How could this happen? Here's a tiny teddy bear that looks like a fucking wolf. How does this thing even look like a bear? It's like a total Teddy Wolf miniature fucking doll. Gives it to him, and he's like, oh man, I'm gonna weep into the arms of my wheelchair bound dad and my mom, and without any dialogue cards. So I don't know what's being said for most of this scene because they just decided we don't need dialogue cards in a silent fucking movie. But this scene lacks a lot of emotional impact. Kind of disappointed. I was like, okay. Anywho, then I think we're just gonna jump through this a lot faster because I'll be honest, this movie flies out of clip. A lot of his
They joined the Air Force.
Yeah, well, duh. They joined the Air Force. But we go to this like enlistment office, and I don't even remember this fucker's name. But they're like, "How American are you, you jackass?" And he like pulls out his bicep and starts flexing. And there's just a flag, and they instantly change their tune like that. There's like, you know what? Never mind. This man's a goddamn national hero for having an American flag tattoo that moves when he flexes.
But that's entirely true. Like, if you met a dude who just like was covered in like American flag tattoos, you're like, oh yeah, you probably love your country.
Sure.
Other things you'd think, but that's a pretty strong thought you'd be thinking first.
This is true. And then he drops his pants and walks in the other room, and it's like 20s comedy.
Wait, dropping pants? The gaydar is going off again.
The gaydar is going off the rails. And then Alex looks like he wants to die.
Alex, I think we made a mistake.
No, let's see where they go with this.
Pineapple under the sea.
This is the first 30 minutes of the movie. It's a long movie. This is the first 30 minutes.
This is a long. Yes, that's the thing. This is 30 minutes just to get into the Air Force, and like none of the stuff that happens before it fucking matters. And then this is personally my favorite part. This is where How Gay Was My Valley was first born. Is they are at boot camp, and David and Jack, I forgot to say, the girl that David's with that Jack also loves, like, gives Jack a locket with a picture in it, but it was for David. And then, like, she told David, like, oh, I didn't feel like I didn't want to take it away from him, which is stupid as shit. And then now we're in boot camp. These two fuckers hate each other. And then they're being taught how to beat the shit out of each other with boxing gloves. Best scene in the movie. Spence.
You're forgetting a scene before then, where it's like, how do I show someone I don't like them? And they're doing push-ups, and he's just like, here's your hat.
Oh, you're right.
It's for 5 fucking minutes, just footing his hat.
And then the drill sergeant guy throwing out all sorts of misogynistic insults at these guys because they don't know how to throw a punch. So he brings up Mr. I Flex for the flag, and just rocks his shit. Beats his shit and is like that. Now that's how you throw a punch, kids. And then Jack and David go to war, just start hitting the shit out of each other like they're Rocky and Creed. Except one of them, very clearly not a good fighter, gets his shit beat in, bleeding from the lips down on the ground. They're doing the count, trying to tap him out. I think Jack's the one who gets his shit rocked. And then he stands up, and that's why they're friends, because he gets up even after getting his ass kicked. And he's like, you know what? We're going to be bros for life. Best friends. Bros before hoes. And that's the end of their rivalry. Dead after 45 minutes with a whole... That's when I stopped the movie. 45 minutes. We still got like a whole hour and 30 to go. Where are we going? Nobody knows. What we get instead is then we are now in World War I. And they're going to be flying these freaking vroom vroom bomber planes. And while this won the first best visual effects Oscar, probably for right reason, I couldn't tell you what's a visual effect, I guess. Actually I could. They drew flames. There's the only color in this movie that isn't sepia tone, orange light coming off these fuckers as they go. They
also drew bubbles.
They did draw bubbles. And you can tell they're visual effects, I guess, because they just look so out of place in the movie. Literally looks like someone just took a marker and drew on the film.
That's how you do visual effects in the 20s, Koho. You literally draw on the film stuff.
You know what? You're right. I'll shut up. So there's all the dog fighting and bang, bang, shoot, pew, pew, blow up. David wins a Medal of Honor of some kind. I'm literally fast forwarding to like 40 minutes of this movie because who gives a fuck?
You're 2 times speeding it, if you would.
Sure. And then we get to the goddamn intermission. Intermission rolls up, and you go, wow, there's an intermission for a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. What is this? A silent film from 1927? And then we go on to the city of Paris, the city of love and angels of France. And we live on me. And Jack is drunk off his ass. Now, little known fact, our own Jack cannot be drunk off his ass. But we've seen Jack in a similar state to this Jack. Let me tell you, we've seen it. He's got his arm around one lady, and his lady from home, who he totally snubbed on the shooting star thing. She started working for the military in some respect. I don't really know how. Something about driving cars. She needed to know how to
drives an ambulance.
That's probably what it is. Because they said you need to be able to drive, and she hops on the vroom vroom shooting star, and that's the last we see her until this exact scene. So she's there, and they're like, hey, we're pulling everyone to the front because the Allies are going to do what's called the big push, which I won't make the joke. The big push.
Okay, I have a question about this. They emphasize, it's this big secret operation to win the war. But, like, how do you keep that a secret? There are fucking spies everywhere. You're having, like, hidden communication across fucking things with, like, those little, like, whatever those fucking like press Morse code things are. How is that kept such a fucking secret if it's the biggest operation in the war? Like that is.
That's J. Edgar Hoover.
I'm gonna assume that's fiction. I don't know World War I. It's a boring.
There was a big push.
Like,
that's a real thing, right? The big push was a real thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, history is dumb. Fuck history.
So anyway.
No sense. You're dumb.
Oh.
Volcano loves Doge, Canadian bitch.
So anyway. In the city of Angel, nope, that's not. In the city of, nope, not the brotherly love. Just the city of sex and bagels and baguettes and ratatouille. We got Jack is drunk off his ass talking to some lady, and then the woman from home shows up, finds the note of orders that's like, yo, bro, you got to go to the front line. And so she goes in to find him. He doesn't recognize her because from his perspective, she just looks like a mess of diamonds and pearls. If you look, she just looks like bubbles, just like complete nonsense out of his visual perspective. And I'll be honest with you, if you're that drunk, you're dead. If you're that drunk, that is alcohol poisoning. You need to go to a doctor because holy shit, man was just like, I'm staying all over her. Oh my God, I can't see.
He was seeing bubbles.
All blind.
She came down in a bubble, David.
She came down in a bubble, Daniel. Is that his name, Daniel? Is that the other guy?
David.
No. Oh, David.
We're all sober, by the way. It's just that's natural.
That's the scary thing.
So then. She goes in the bathroom and is crying because he doesn't recognize her. And there's just some French lady hanging in the bathroom and is like, man problems. So let's just be very clear. This does not pass the Bechdel test in 1927, let me tell you. But hey, kudos to them for having 2 women. End of sentence. I guess. Because they just fucked that one up. And she's like, you know how you get them back? Wear a dress. Puts her in a dress. Sends her right back out there, and then it becomes a situation where he's just between the two, can't pick because they're both bubbles in his eyes. Fucking just blah, blah, blah. And then this is where the CG bubbles are on the screen. And when I say CG, I mean Disney took a pen and pencil and just went whoa, bubbles all over this fucking piece of work. And so then they do like a tug of war. The 2 ladies trying to get a hold of him to come home, and she wins. The one that likes him, from home, and she takes him to her place because this makes 100% sense. Puts him on the bed. He's dead. Just legally pronounce him dead. He's the hangover in the morning enough to kill a moose. She, however, is like, you know what? I'm going to start changing out of the dress back into my military garb. Who walks in? 2 random fuckos from the Air Force. And they are creepy. They stand there and watch her get naked and change. And then they turn around when they realize, okay, you're going to get deported out of the military. Is that the part? Discharged from the military because women cannot be with men in a room. We think they fucked, apparently. Yes, Spence.
You can't fuck if you're in the military?
Not in this, not in Wings.
Why
Not
would
in
you
World War I.
join?
Not in World War I, not in Wings. Yes, Alex.
Just to be clear, she was thrown out of the military service because they thought she was prostituting herself in the city of Paris.
You can't really tell that when they don't put dialogue cards on screen.
Not that they explain it like in the movie with title cards, which they totally could do, but don't.
Exactly. They don't tell us what's going on. Anyway, they kick her out. She's left. And instead of being like, no, I was trying to help him, she's like, you know what? That's fair. This is what I deserve, and leaves. The next day, or the next thing we see, Jack and David, they're hanging out, vibing out at their post, talking about the same girl they like. And he's like, yo, check out this locket that she gave me, which proves that she loves me, bro. And he's like, nah, bro. And it falls out, picture out. And he's like, here, let me put that back in the locket for you. And he's like, nah, I can do that myself. Give me the picture. And like a spoiled, rotten son of a bitch, tears the picture up so he can't put it in the locket. And he's like, you bitch. And they have a little bit of a cat fight. Right as the general comes and says, boys, you gotta take to the sky. So they all get in the fucking planes. But what happens is Boy leaves his teddy bear behind. Fucko can't do any flying without Jojo the bear. So he gets in the plane. And what happens? He doesn't make it. He dead. And Jack, he's like, I'm back. And I'm an idiot. And we lost him. And then the rest of the movie, he's like, I'm going to kill all the Germans and win the war for David. Meanwhile, David, shot to shit, crashes his plane. He wakes up in a little river island, shot at by the Germans, definitely gets hit again. Definitely has been shot at least 5 times in the last 20 minutes of this movie. Starts crawling down a side riverway. Those wounds need to be amputated. That motherfucker is infected. He is dying. Dysentery, the works. I'm sure he got COVID before COVID. That's all of it. Just dying. And dying in the trench in World War I. He's got every disease under the sun in those wounds. And so Jack's like, I'm going to kill all the Germans. We're going to fast forward because a lot of this is just fighty, dog fighty shit that I guarantee you they only put in because they filmed it all. And they're like, use every ounce of footage you can. And let's be honest, 45 minutes of dog fights with no conversation and nothing really good happening makes my job easier, but not fun to watch.
It's the best part of the movie.
It is not. I'd rather watch everything else. And so then we get to the last big push thing. And lots of Germans dying. And a lot of Americans dying. And I'm not going to lie, one of the most brutal things I did not expect to see in this movie. Dude sitting there in a little turret, machine gunning people, and then a tank crushes him straight up, just flattens his turret. Full on, you see everything. What the fuck? Pre-code, post-code? Maybe Chazelle's movie Babylon will educate me on the movie Wings is making of, but at this time, no idea.
This is pre-code, which is why you could see like a woman's bare back and a man-on-man kiss, even though it's not gay.
You're right.
Very pre-code, by the way.
Very pre-code. That's why you watch a man get turned into hamburger meat on the slopes of the German Alps. That's probably not even accurate. Anywho, meanwhile, David books it into a plane, steals a plane at a German air base, flies away. Germans send a plane after him to get him, shoots it down, and starts cheering that he killed a German. And we cut right back to his brethren lifting the limp dead body out of it and cut back to him again cheering. And it is the most disturbing thing I've seen in this movie. Weird shit. Just cheers that he killed a motherfucker and got away. And then we just see him being lifted out like he's Jesus of fucking Nazareth out of his plane. So then Jack has shot down and killed all the Germans, blimps, balloons, the works, every one of them. And the next thing we see is he's flying and he sees another plane flying into American airspace. He goes, this one's for you, David, and shoots it out of the sky. David comes crashing down into a cottage. Jack lands and starts cheering. He's like, I got the last one. I got him. And the woman at the cottage is like, you better come in quick. He doesn't have moments left to live. And he rushes in as if that's important. If you just killed a German, who gives a fuck? He could die in 10 hours or right now, and you killed him anyway. So why would you care if you're standing there? Unless you're going to go finish him off like a psychopath, which Jack is absolutely a psychopath. And so then he walks in, and there's David laying there bleeding out on the table. He's like, don't worry, you're going to be okay. We'll go get a doctor. Looks at the guy, and he goes, you're a doctor, right? And he's like, yeah, but I can't do anything. And we're like, so what's the point? Why are you here? Why are you even in the military? You're fucking useless. And so then David lays there dying, and they kiss. Those two fuckers kiss right there on the table. How gay was my valley? It's a 10 out of 10 on the gaydar, baby. That shit, put it number 1. Wings is going all the way on the gaydar. It's going to the end. And then he dies. And then the next scene, I think, is the newspaper that's like, hey, Jack, hometown hero, coming home. Can't wait. Love it. He comes home. Big party for the boy. And then he goes to the home of David, and fucking his family is like very somber. I don't even think they say any lines to each other. He just starts crying in Mama David's lap. And then the last scene in this movie, very out of nowhere, is he comes back to reunite with the girl who he's been shunting the whole film with no even a hint that he likes her. And he's like, we're going to sit in this car together, and now we're adults, and they see a shooting star, and he's like, hey, you know what happens what you can do when you see a shooting star? And she goes, you can kiss the girl you love. And he's like, damn, Skippy. And they make out on the top of the Ford v Ferrari shooting star model T800, and that's Wings. Very short plot synopsis. I guarantee you it'll be longer every other week. But for this one, whoo, it was easy for me.
So he takes her away to his mythical kingdom. Can I get a bicard?
Great. Glad we did that. Look forward to that segment every week, where
I can't wait till I break down the plot of like Shakespeare in Love.
I can't wait till you break down the plot of Return of the King.
That is the whole episode.
Dude, Return of the King is gonna be our longest episode. Don't even bother.
It's so good. I can't wait for that one.
Great. That was most of the plot of Wings. Matthew, would you say that there are any standout performances?
Yeah, the standout was definitely Carla Bow as the that's her name, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Mary Preston.
Okay. Yeah, Mary Preston. That's the character. She's the girl who joins the war that Coho was talking about, but I think she was definitely the standout.
Yeah, I agree with you.
No, you're right. Go ahead, Jake.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought that she was clearly the standout. I wasn't a huge fan of either of Jack or David personally. Like, they were fine, but Carla Bow just stole most scenes that she was in, so I'd have to pick her for standout performer.
To quote a pretty awful take that Alex has, the guy who plays David, block of wood. Just much like James Stewart in Rear Window, according to Alex. Fucking all right then. But no, I think it's definitely Carla Bow. I think she is by far the standout performance. She's the only one that gives any life into this lifeless fucking movie. Yeah, she's the best right now, and we'll definitely have to put her number 1 on the standout performances ranked list so far.
I am making that now.
All right, so thank you to Carla Bow for being the best performer in this otherwise entirely confusing and weird movie.
You're the best performer.
Yeah, she's the best performer.
Actually,
I thought this movie was really weird, and the movie that it kind of reminded me a lot of, in like a very flip kind of way, is actually like Dunkirk, in the sense that like this is mostly a technical exercise, but if we got like a good performance along the way, then like aces. But like this is like, honestly, if you skip all the parts of the movie that have like not a battle in it, you're probably gonna have a decent time with it. It's gonna be weird, but you're gonna get as much and potentially more out of it than you would anyway. Anybody else?
You know, I absolutely agree. I think all the best parts of this movie have nothing to do with the dogfighting technical aspects. I think that's the worst stuff in the movie because it's so boring to watch these planes shoot at each other because it's not even well shot or well directed action. It's just random. We drew flames on a plane that's going to start nosediving. Are the stunts probably good? Sure. Obviously. But, like, I'm just being honest. I don't give a fuck about pew, pew, bang, bang, German American planes and blimps and balloons. I don't care about the aerial combat. I care about Jack and David Brokeback Mounting each other in the Alps. That's what I wanted. It's what we didn't get, but it's the better movie. Remake Wings, make it Jack and David are gay. Ace's Best Picture. Wins it again 100 years later.
So I'll go more into like direct comparisons at the end of the show when we get to the homework segment. I am literally the opposite of all of you. Number one, I think you're too kind to this movie. This movie is so fucking boring. Like, part of it's because it's a silent film, yeah. But you're just like, yeah, it's like it did some shit, 3 stars. No, it barely did shit, 1.5. I could not fucking stand it. I'll tell you this. If I saw this in the theater, I would have taken like a half-hour dump. I would have been fine. Would not have cared. I wanted this to end so fucking quickly. Every dialogue scene, I wanted it done. I love the dogfights, though. I think they're actually like photographed really well. I think the actual choreography of them was amazing. Basically undone ever in film prior or since, to my knowledge, until like fucking Top Gun, where you're actually taking a camera to the sky and having all of these dangerous like flights and everything. Like, it looks great. I could not give a fuck about the characters, and I think Coho's like encapsulates that. I'm just like, there's a plot, I guess. I think that if we're like so like dismissing of the characters and the story and the performances, how is this close to 3 stars?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Is a technical achievement any worse than like a plot-based achievement? Because this was, ostensibly speaking, and we'll get to it when we get to the extra credit segment, but this was the popular film that won this year, was Wings. A different film, Sunrise, won a different Academy Award.
Right.
But that was like the
it won the other Best Picture.
Yeah, it won the other Best Picture, but that Best Picture was like the indie film kind of version of it.
It had its own Spirit Awards.
Yeah, kind of. So I'm going to start with Matthew on this. Is a technical achievement, is this movie deserving of a Best Picture nomination or indeed a win just as a technical achievement?
No, I don't think just like a technical achievement should win Best Picture. Like, I appreciate what Wings did. I really like, some of the aerial scenes and just like it's well shot and stuff. But I think just without the investment in the plot, I just don't think it should.
Jack, hundreds of people reportedly went up into the sky to try and get these scenes done. It actually it's an interesting precedent because I think in this previous Oscar ceremony, there were like 1 or 2 movies that I think were nominated just as technical achievements, namely being like Nightmare Alley. It's just like an aesthetic movie that got made, and some people liked it. Is this a precedent you like? I suppose.
I do think it's valid to award a film for being a groundbreaking, a technical achievement. I mean, we see examples of it like all the time, like Star Wars in 1977 or 1917, although that one, like especially in 1917, was incredible. But this, like, for I thought the dogfighting scenes were like great. Like, those were honestly some of my favorite parts in the film. So I think the fact that they were able to shoot that is and really, really impressive. And so I think, it deserves at least a nomination based on the achievement of like the groundbreaking achievement of what this film was. So yeah, I think it does.
All right, the two of you. Argue freely.
So I don't think Wings deserve to be nominated for Best Picture. I say this freely, not knowing any other films that could have been nominated. I say when it comes to technical achievements, I think that's what the technical categories are created for. Like, your technical individual achievements should be awarded below the line to the people who put in the work in that respect. For the visual effects, which this won the first visual effects Oscar when it was called like engineering effects, I think that's fine, deserved. Take that as your consolation. I think Best Picture should be reserved for films that have great technical vision, sure, but a great story and like have something to say and great performances. The best movie of the year should be the thing that wins Best Picture, the thing that does the best, that tells the best story, that has the most heart, that has the best performances in it. I think that's where I view Best Picture contention to be. Things like Dune just don't get nominated for me. I don't think Dune's a great story or a really great acted thing. I think it's a technical achievement, and it won all the technicals for a reason. It is groundbreaking and pioneering and deserves most of those technical awards. But a Best Picture nomination, never. And that's how I feel about Wings. I also think we're going to get into an interesting discussion in the extra credit segment when it comes to the other Best Picture winner. So,
yep.
Yeah. I do agree. I agree
He's
that
getting shafted, Jack. Let Spence talk.
Okay.
I've been trying to help Spence talk for like 10 minutes.
I love how twice now I am on the exact opposite end of everyone else. I think the technical films can get Best Picture nominations and probably should, because at the end of the day, if we're looking at like the wholeness of a film, if like the storytelling and the acting isn't there, that's still like 20-30% of the film, and 70% of it can still be like that perfect realization of everything going on behind the scenes. And I think like Koho gave it like a good Dune example of like, I don't love the story. I think it's a little bit incomplete. How are you like, if you're looking at good performances and everything to that technical like firing off, I understand why it gets a nomination. I wouldn't do it, but I sort of like, I get it. Wings being this like big thing, I think part of it's technical, but I think also part of it's just like the political era of the time of being very like pro-war. And that was like its big like push. Granted, I haven't seen Seventh Heaven or The Racket, but literally looking at like the other films that were nominated and just didn't get Best Picture, like namely to me, like you got a Charlie Chaplin film, which like Chaplin, biggest star in the world at the moment, would make sense. And then you have The Jazz Singer, which was also massively revolutionary. I think like it's splitting its Best Picture was part of the issue of why it won. At the end of the day, it's still like a technical feat of like this dogfighting is incredible and it hasn't really been done since. And also the politics of just like everything I think worked in his favor. I get why it's not. I get why it's one shit movie though. I wish we never found it. I wish we could just start on fucking Broadway Melody and never would have to start with this.
I will agree in the sense that like I understand how this wins Best Picture. I can understand this being a Best Picture winner. That which is a conversation we're gonna have many times throughout the show where I will go, I understand how this won. I don't think it should have, but it's one of those like we'll get there in a year where y'all are gonna be shitting on a movie and I'll literally look at you and go, I agree, but I totally get how this won Best Picture. We'll get there in like 110 weeks, but still, yeah, I agree. I think I understand how this wins Best Picture. I definitely get like in the roaring 20s where we come off of at that time the biggest war in the history of the world that we were on the winning side of, a movie about us winning it and then also trying to put a love story in the center of it. I understand how on paper this wins and how this is a hit in the 20s, but like watching this almost 100 years later, this does not hold up at all. And yeah, I'll agree on that front, but I definitely don't think the technical aspects of this are enough for me to warrant it winning Best Picture person.
Do we all agree that this is the first? Okay, like officially, is this the first? Okay, like Best Picture winner, like where you see it and you're like, sure, I guess it won.
Oh, I definitely think this is the first one for us where we're unanimously just like, yeah, this is fine. And I feel like we're gonna have a huge stretch of those until we get to like the 60s, where it's like there's like 4 or 5 through the first like 40 years of the Oscars where we're like, yeah, that's amazing. What a great movie. Like there's gonna be 4 or 5, maybe 6 of them where we're like, yes, absolute great. And then a bunch of them where we're just gonna be like, yeah, Around the World in 80 Days exists, and like shit like that where we're like, that one, I guess. But for now, for the first one, I get it, I guess. But no, yeah, this is not great.
No, you all are like, oh yeah, it's okay, like maybe sort of good. This is ass. Once again, so I want to put it in ways that I think Koho would understand. I feel about this how you feel about Mad Max Fury Road.
Oof.
Where
Fair. You know?
Oh,
At least this has a plot, though. That's the thing. This has a plot. It's not good, but
you're
it's
drunk.
a plot.
You're absolutely fucking drunk. The plot of this is shit. There's like, I'll just say it now. I saw a film from 1926 a few years ago that I think does this, but better. And this is one of the most boring and overtrodden plots in any war film. And granted, it's one of the first big ones. Of course, people steal from it. But looking back, I have not been this fucking bored by a movie in years. I wish this was fucking burned. I don't understand why
It was.
people at the time were like, oh yeah, this is not only like a good movie, but a great one. Even now, it's not even fucking okay. Like, it is actively bad. And I think it's going to be near the bottom of my overall Best Picture rankings for a while. And if it's not, I don't want to be on this show anymore.
I definitely see this will be probably towards the bottom of our list by the end, but I also don't think like we're gonna be like out of the woods here. Like, I don't think this is gonna be the worst Best Picture winner we watch in the first 10 episodes. Like, I think we're gonna watch worse movies in the next 10 weeks that we would put below Wings, and like that's just welcome to the first couple of years of movies that we have awards for.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay, so I'm curious actually, because Jack, I think your letterbox review was really interesting. I think everyone else here lives in the United States. You're Canadian.
Oh, yeah.
Do you care? Does any of the rah America, like whatever, like does any of that this is like an easy fourth of this movie? Does any of it resonate with you?
Not particularly. In my review, I said if you told me this was a propaganda film that was kept in a box for 10 years and then saw the light of day, I'd believe you.
It's actually a good description.
Yeah, like honestly, no, like none of the like rah America, like ultra patriotic stuff really resonates with me at all. At the end of the day, I just don't care. But then again, I'm Canadian. I don't really care about very many.
Here's the thing: if that guy was flexing the fucking maple leaf on his arm, would you have been like, "Yes, let's go"?
I would have been okay. Yeah, I would have been like, okay, I like that. But
I'm American, and he starts flexing the American flag, and I was like, "Oh, that's cringy."
Yeah, if I saw that, I would have been like, "It's the 20s. I get it." But like,
sure, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely. But if someone came up to me today and had that exact same tattoo and did it, I'd be like, okay, all right.
Okay,
all right. I appreciate the love of the country, but let's maybe tone it down like 2 notches. That's a little obnoxious of a show of patriotism.
just a little bit.
It's a little obnoxious.
So we don't love it as, or we at least fairly kind of respect it as a technical achievement. Spence is not on board with it at all. It is too long. This movie needs a sharp pair of scissors and a really mean editor. The title cards I thought were very underplayed. Like, we needed more of them.
More title cards.
Because I expected more of them. People just have dialogue with each other and then just leave and then the scene's over.
I will say I am very happy that this is one of 2 silent films we will have to watch for this show. One of 2. This is only one of 2 silent films to win the Oscar for Best Picture. I wonder what the other one is.
Way better.
Way
better.
The other one, we'll see if it's any better.
Honestly, Spence, right now, I disagree with you.
I know, and you're on crack. Anyway.
We'll see. Here's the thing: we're going to be waiting another 70 weeks to talk about that one, but still. Which is wild. We're talking about the first film to win Best Picture, a silent film in 1927, and then we're not going to talk about the next silent film to win Best Picture for like 70 to 80 episodes, which is kind of insane.
Oh god. Yeah. Okay, so how about this? Does the silent style, which I actually found very jarring, as like someone that like the last movie they watched before it was like some bizarro DCEU nonsense. Like, is it? Because I totally understand, because most of these performers are stage performers who are still playing to that kind of audience. Like they don't change up the acting style, so everything is like very broad and like loud physically. Is that an effective performance performing style for this movie. So I think the only person that gets that there's a difference is probably Clara Bow, and she's only allowed it at certain times.
I would say in a silent film where we literally can't hear what you're saying, it works because I need to know how you're feeling, and to be completely over the top exaggerative in your body movements and motions helps convey to me without you telling me or saying words to me how you're feeling in this moment. I think it's not good storytelling, but I think that comes with the form that they're forced to use, and that they're forced to use with the technology of their time and the budgets of their time. But I also totally think it's wild that they made this movie in a year where the jazz singer creates audio for the first time on film, and instead of like, hey, we're going to make it a talkie and then add that to the I like, they probably had a massive budget at the time to be able to do these aerial combat fights, which I guess you can make it go either way, where it's why they didn't make it a talkie, or should be an argument for why they should have made it a talkie. Why didn't they? Because they definitely had the money to make this movie the way it was. So I don't know. I think their performances are fine for it being silent, but I still don't think they're like totally effective without title cards.
That's fair.
No, I think it honestly, like, it can work, and I think that's one of the advantages of silent film is where you're able to sort of act bigger, because again, especially like with a film like this where like you don't have as many title cards. Like, you need to rely on that nonverbal storytelling, and that's something I think theater has been very good at over the years. And I think honestly the only reason that we like sort of draw ourselves more to Clara Bow isn't just because she's acting more like filmically. I think it's just the story itself is not as engaging as it could be. I think if you take a better story and put these three in it again, we could be looking over Clara Bow and looking to the other two, because I think they would be what the story needs. Right now, there's not like enough meat on its bones to really support that bigger acting style.
Matthew?
Yeah, I think I just pretty much agree with like the same ideas, where like I think I really like Clara Bow, just like what she does in the movie, but like for silent films, like most of what I have seen is like Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, where they are very much over the top, and like they convey a lot with their actions. And I think but yeah, Clara Bow is definitely like what she does here is definitely what I like.
Jack?
Oh, holy shit. Okay. Just left my head. What was the question? I got
do you think, actually, new question for you, Jack.
Okay.
Do you think that comedic performances drop better to silent film, or are these performances handicapped by being dramatic?
I'd say comedic performances are often better used in silent films, because without dialogue, you've got to rely on over the top body language to convey certain things in the film. And I think with comedy, like especially slapstick comedy with like Sherlock Jr. for example, there's moments in that film that are very highly exaggerated movements that work perfectly for what they're trying to convey in the film, and it's got some great slapstick moments in that film. And I think because these are more dramatic performances, it would work better as like a talkie, and if they decided to go that way with it, because they probably had the budget for it. So yeah, no.
Would any of you describe this as an action movie?
In a way, yeah. I'd actually call this a proto-action movie. I totally agree with that, where it's like plot secondary, spectacle of the action first. And I think that definitely, I would call this one of the earliest action movies in a way where this is kind of super inspiring to people like Michael Bay.
This is what Pearl Harbor wants to be.
This is true. And
honestly, I might take it over it. Just because I think the action is better put together. I hate them both, but I think there's like a direct line between this leading to what like Michael Bay thought. I was like, oh, hey, this is an Oscar picture? Sure, blow up some ships too. Why not?
Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely action in it with like all the gunfights and stuff. So like I think like I'd still categorize it as one, but like it's definitely like not as strong as other.
Are there any other Best Picture winners or nominees that this reminds you most of? Because like the one that I thought of was Dunkirk, but there's like a few like nominees and winners that are like it's like a very melodrama.
Yeah.
With like at least like the entire undercut of that is the war, and we're in the war for way too long. So actually this isn't like in a weird way, this is like Return of the King, where it's like let's spend some time with Frodo, but like let's do the big action sequences for like at least the same amount of time.
Yeah, no, actually that's a good point.
Alex is exactly right. It's boring, overlong, and only really good with the action sequences.
Oh my goodness, Spence.
Let it be known that's not what I
save
said.
it till the 70th episode. Oh no, you've ruined the aesthetic of the episode.
Oh, I'm sorry. I angered you about a film that we're not going to watch for over a year.
I'm watching it later today.
Go and drown in snow.
It's gonna be a while before we get to Return of the King. But yeah, I don't know. I would call it like an anti-Dunkirk in a way. I'd almost call it an anti-Dunkirk. I would call it. I would say it reminds me a little bit of 1917 in a way. I think 1917 is significantly better, but like it reminds me of 1917. But yeah, I definitely think we will see movies in several weeks coming up, or war will come up a lot in a lot of Best Picture winners for the first 20, 30 episodes. A lot of them will either be directly affected by war, will be about war, will be war films. And I think we're going to be talking about this a lot, but I think a lot of the show that we're going to get will be coming back to this one and being like, does it do war better than Wings? And I think that's where we're going to, that's the touchstone that we're going to have with a lot of the war action Best Pictures that we have coming up in the next 20 weeks. So
Fair enough.
All right, just because like now I'm like genuinely curious, because you've been shit talking it for like this whole time. Where would you write, like on letterboxd, where would you put this? Like how many stars would you give this?
Which one of us?
Spence.
Okay.
Oh, I give it a star and a half. I already said so. Like I think it's a film that's irredeemable. Isn't quite the right word, but I think that there's so little in it that I think fundamentally works. I think its story is wholly uninteresting. And again, we talked about how like two of the three lead performances are like sort of bad. I think it's weird that we're sort of giving it pass of like, oh, it's fine. Like I think a film being unremarkable to bad, I think deserves more negative than like mediocrity. Because like this is below mediocre for me.
I give it
below
2.5,
mid, if you would.
I give it 2.5. Because I think that when it comes to the time, you have to take into with every film that we're going to be going through, you still have to remember when it came out and the world that exists when it comes out. Every film we have is a piece of history and a piece of a time capsule of the year and the era of which it's from. And I think Wings is constrained by technical like advancements that are new. Sound is new. Like we have to remember, like talkies are literally the hot new thing that come out the year Wings does. So there's a lot of things that hinder this movie that is only because we have come so much further in the 100 years since this has come out. Like viewing this 100 years later is obviously going to hurt the movie because screenwriting techniques have advanced significantly. Talking pictures exist. Acting is different 100 years later. There's things that are normal to us in a film that Wings doesn't have simply because of when it came out. And as being the first Best Picture winner, I at least view it that way, where it's like for the time that it came out, for what they were able to do with a movie like this, for when it came out, it's an incredibly ambitious project of any era, but to be able to do it in 1927, I give it credit. I give it credit for taking a story that on paper could have been good. I genuinely think this could have been a good story. A love triangle of two people involved in World War I. I genuinely think if you took this story today and made it into a movie, you could make a good movie with this story. But at the time, they did what they did with it. It's not a great script. It's not a great story, but they did what they did with the techniques that they had. I think the aerial combat is ambitious for what it is, even if I don't think it looks particularly amazing. They did it. They sent actual planes in the air and did dogfights. That's impressive. So I give it that much credit, where the fact that this movie exists, that we are able to watch it, and that it, at least in a way, is a watchable film from 1927. I give credit, and that's why I gave it 2.5. Is I think there's enough in it to be admired for its existence than to dog it for what it couldn't. It physically could not be. It physically could not be a movie like it is today. They physically cannot write movies the way they do now. They physically cannot shoot movies the way they do now. They physically cannot act the way we do now because they hadn't figured it out yet. So for one of the first films ever made and the first film to win Best Picture, I give it 2.5 stars as a credit to existing.
Just as a, you called it the anti Dunkirk. Do you remember what you gave Dunkirk?
I think I gave Dunkirk 2.5 stars to 1.
Yeah.
I think they're comparable films, to be totally honest. I think they are completely similar films. Just one is made with modern techniques, both wholly lack emotion and story that matter. So there you go.
Dunkirk
They're very
is way
similar.
better. Like, it's still not that good, but it's way better.
I think Dunkirk is the 2017 equivalent of Wings on Film. They're the same movie. Same movie. Different war.
Matthew,
One of them has Harry Styles in it.
That's true.
That's a negative, not a positive.
That's
Okay. I give it a 3 out of 5. And so just like the story isn't quite there, but I do really appreciate the craft and just like the filmmaking, the direction, and like there's just some really beautiful shots, like the one in the cafe that I really love. And yeah, that's that. I just think that elevates it, especially of its time, like because it came out in 1927. That really adds to why I bumped it a little bit higher than Coho and Spence.
That's fair.
Matthew, do you do half stars on Letterboxd?
I do, yeah.
Okay. I know some people don't. So I was like, if you don't and you give it 3, then we basically gave the same thing. So I was just wondering, but like, what is there something with the movie to you where you're like gives it that half star edge into 3, or is it just the fact that they made this movie?
I think it's really because like I factor in like the product of its time, where like
Sure.
with its technical feat.
Sure. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. And I gave the same rating as Matthew did, and for basically the same reasons, where I've also looked at it as a product of its time and how much of an achievement it was for that time. While the story's not really there, the aerial shots and the dogfights are more than impressive enough to warrant a 3-star over a 2.5 for me.
Fair enough. I guess I like this movie better than everyone else, which is weird. I gave it a full 3.5 stars. It's fine. I think like if Jack and David, those were the names, right? If Jack and David were more like a presence in the movie, like at all, like any percent, it would be higher. I think the most recent example I can give is West Side Story, Steven Spielberg's West Side Story. Ansel Elgort drops that movie a full star for me just because he doesn't connect with any of like the material around him, and there's like a lot, and a lot long parts of this movie are just extensive battle scenes, and I think that stuff is really interesting, especially like when you're trying to work out in your head, like, yo, were they blowing dudes up in 27? Like, what were they? Like, where were they at? Like, knowing that they sent in hundreds of people into the air, like, it's like very possible that some of those people did not come back down in a way that they were happy about. I don't know. And there were parts of it that I thought like kind of worked more for me in a way that's probably just unique to me. Like, the idea of male bonding through punching is like hilarious. I did
audibly laugh when he brought up Flag on Bicep Boy and just rocked his world. I laughed really hard.
It's like I've never made any friends through punching, but like I bet that there's like a guy that has, like an uber macho man would definitely have somebody somewhere has made a friend through punching them in the face and then being like, ah, like I don't.
That's just like right before Scott leaves prison and Ant-Man. He's just like, huh, I'm gonna miss you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, Alex, you've seen Fight Club, right?
Yeah, but I don't honestly like. I hate Fight Club.
Fight Club, better movie
Fight
than
Club's
this.
the worst. Fight Club could be gayer. That is the new segment.
After the show's over, our new podcast will be "Could It Be Gayer?" and just talk about random movies.
How Gay Was My Valley will be brought back so many times on this show. You don't understand.
Honestly, if by the end of this, if by the end of the show, all of us don't have a segment where we're like, anyway,
No,
it's
for
time
real.
for
That's
How
the
Gay Was
goal.
My Valley.
The podcasts within podcasts we will have will eventually be to the point where Matthew's going to be sitting here going, welcome to the podcast within the podcast where I talk about the abs on every person in the Best Picture. It's going to be... Here's the thing. Spence and I will absolutely be ranking How Gay Was My Valley every week, every time we have one. And we're going to go, was that more or less gay than Wings?
Why are you
It's just now How Gay Was My Valley.
We're going to get to Moonlight. We're going to get to Moonlight. We're going to go, not as gay as Wings.
Wings needed a Sandy Handy. That's what makes us 3 stars.
Damn it, Spence.
This
Are
took
we-
a
are we-
turn
are we
I
at
wasn't
homework now?
expecting.
You know what? I can't believe you're keeping this to yourselves, and you know what? I'm not gonna allow it. How gay is this movie actually, and could it have been gayer? Legally at the time, could it
Yes.
have been gayer?
No, absolutely. Could have been gayer.
No. Here's the thing. Alex just said legally, which I like. I don't know if they burned the gays this time, but they probably did. So I'm going to say no.
Here's the thing. They had 2 dudes kiss on the mouth in 1927.
Can I
Let's
wait?
applaud
Okay,
the
wait.
fact that that is a thing that exists.
Can I use this to transition into homework?
Extra credit, yes.
Okay, whatever. So
Wait. Jack, hit the clip.
Jack, hit the song.
Extra credit!
No, I didn't know flip. Fuck. All right. Anyways.
Now,
So-
Jack, hit the song for extra credit. What's the song for extra credit, Jack?
Holy shit! What?
That's a song. All right. So
No, that's not the song. We need a song for extra credit. We need a song, Jack.
Spence, you're better than me at this.
Spence,
Don't
song for
put
extra
that.
credit. Go.
I'm smart. You're dumb. I watched more. Fuck you. All right. So
Smart and dumb. Fuck you. Extra credit. All right, Spence.
So, talking about can a film like legally be gayer than this? I'm going to bring up a film that I watched for class a couple of years ago that I think is what if this was that plus dogfighting, honestly would have been 5 stars. It's called The Flesh and the Devil. Talked about it a few times. It's literally about a guy who falls in love with a girl. The guy goes off to war, presumed dead. His best friend then comes in to get with the girl. Oh shit, he's not dead. Comes back. Basically Pearl Harbor, but better. The thing that film does, and I think this should have leaned into more, is the whole. I'm going to pull up literally the fucking names of the people. It came out in 1926. It wasn't eligible for the Oscars, unfortunately, but I have not met a single person who has seen this and thought like, oh, that was.
Oh snap! A Greta Garbo movie.
Oh, no, it was 1927. Oh fuck yeah, it was eligible. The Oscars are just bitches. So
You said the Oscars are just bitches, as if this isn't 1927.
Right. So the characters are Leo, Ulrich, and Felicitas. Leo goes off, whatever. Leo and Ulrich have like very palpable like homoerotic subtext going on. Like every moment in the film that they are not fighting over her is them like having like this hidden longing for each other and not really understanding it. That's what motivates Ulrich to go and sit with Felicitas to like sort of be with the closest thing he can do to be with Leo. And then the film also understands the idea of like sexual tension, like what draws you to these characters. Literally at Felicitas's and Ulrich's wedding, there's thing like you need to drink from the cup of God and drink wine or something, and the priest turns the cup each time, so you're not like sharing God with someone. Which when he gets to Felicitas, she turns like in the priest's hand, turns the cup back to where Leo did it, looks him dead in the eyes, and drinks from the cup. Like the film is filled with that like weird 1920s like sexual tension that I think this needs, because at the end of the day, you come to this film.
Lots of first and 3/4 spaces.
Yeah, exactly. You come to the film for the plot, not just fucking dogfights. There needs to be something going on. And I think this film is what, like, if you put this story plus dogfights, this should have won Best Picture. This is way more interesting from a narrative perspective, from a How Gay Was My Valley perspective. Everything about it going on is better.
I love that you just the words from a How Gay Was My Valley perspective.
Also, Greta Garbo, better than Carla Bow. Million miles better. If you guys want to have a good gay romp, watch Flesh and the Devil. It is a fucking soap opera, and it is like under 2 hours. Super fun time.
So extra credit. Most of us, I believe, watched Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans.
Yes.
That was the other film to win Best Picture that year for Best Artistic or Creative Picture, I think is what they called it. I've never understood why the Oscars didn't just say 2 films win Best Picture in the first year instead of just completely shunting one out of being credited as a Best Picture winner. Personally, I think there should be 95 films that have won Best Picture, not 94. I think Sunrise deserves the credit as being a Best Picture winner alongside Wings. And considering they're the 2 that won, this is the only for people who don't understand what our extra credit assignments are. Extra credit, we won't always be watching the same movies as each other every week. But extra credit essentially is to watch a movie that you haven't seen from that year or to watch the direct competitor so we can talk about did it deserve to win in its year with context. And like we'll be doing it many, many times where we'll probably be talking about more than one film during extra credit as did it deserve to win over the perspectives of these 6 different films who could have beaten it in the same year. But I think this is the most one-to-one comparison we have where these are the 2 films that won. And I think personally, I'll say I think Sunrise is the better movie. I think Sunrise has the better plot. I think Sunrise is the more engaging film. I think it is significantly enhanced by the fact that it is like 40 minutes, 50 minutes shorter. At an hour and a half, it is like straight up almost an hour shorter than Wings and fills that hour and a half runtime with plenty of things to like. The biggest disconnect for me is it's still a silent film. I can't get into silent film. I've just decided I can't. Both films, I need dialogue, I need audio. I can't handle this. I can't handle the text breakups. But I think that the Best Actress winner for this year from this film, in Gloria Gaynor,
Janet Gaynor.
Janet Gaynor. I just totally Spence threw me off with the whole Gloria, whatever. Janet Gaynor is whatever. Fuck off. Janet Gaynor is really great. Like, is really great in Sunrise and deserves her Best Actress Oscar just on a performance level. So I definitely think if we were gonna like sit here right now and pick between the 2 films that won, which one we should be recognizing overall as the Best Picture winner, I would vote Sunrise should have been the one that we recognize as the first Best Picture winner. And I think most think pieces afterwards, after I watched it, I was like, I need to know why this wasn't like decided as being a co-Best Picture winner or the Best Picture winner. And I looked into it, and there's like full-on think pieces about how this is like better than Wings and should have been the Best Picture winner over it. And that there's no definitive reason why they just decided to erase this film from the Best Picture winning history. Personally, I'd vote Sunrise. What about you guys who watched it? Like, what did you guys think about Sunrise? Should it have won?
Yeah, absolutely. I vote Sunrise. That the film is far superior to Wings in almost every aspect. The only thing Wings has above it is the engineering effects, which is fair because those aerial shots are great. But the performances in Sunrise blow the performances in Wings out of the water. I think Janet Gaynor is fantastic in this. I think she 100% deserved her Best Actress win. I think that even I'm blanking on his name. The one that plays her husband in it.
I forget his name too.
George O'Brien. Yeah. George O'Brien, I think he delivers like a really, really solid emotional performance. And yeah, I think he's fantastic in it. This thing is falling off the wall. Someone else talk.
Matthew, you watched Sunrise, right?
Yeah, I did. I think, I would agree that I think Sunrise is definitely the better film, should have won. And like, even though it doesn't have like the aerial stuff, like I think just the filmmaking is really, really gorgeous. Yeah. Like there's some really great visuals and just like the way, like some of the backgrounds, sometimes how it changes. And I think that adds a lot to the story, which I also just really was very engaged with. I think Janet Gaynor is she's amazing. She's also great in Seventh Heaven, which I also watched.
Which I think she's listed as winning for like 3 films. So
Yeah.
I think it's Seventh Heaven, Sunrise, and something else, where it's like she won Best Actress for all 3.
Yeah.
The Street Angel is the other film that she.
Street Angel, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, no, I absolutely. I think this also won Best Cinematography. Like this is like a movie, and it deserves it. I think this movie looks great. Like I think this movie doesn't need the aerial dog fights that Wings has in order to, or like giant technical aspects, because I just think all they did was take a camera, a good story, and good actors, and just tell this really simple, thrilling story. And it's made by the guy who made Nosferatu. Like it's the director of Nosferatu just came in and made this film, and you can kind of feel that it has a lot of horror vibes to it. Just the way it's lit in some scenes, I absolutely can see that, and maybe that's why they decided not to, because it's more horror than Wings. But I think of the two, while Wings is probably more culturally significant in the history of film because of the time period and whatever, I think Sunrise is the better movie, and they should have picked that. Spencer, did you watch Sunrise?
I did. I was just going to say, like, that's at the viewer now, and I think that he's like a very strong, like, visual director.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who won like Best Director.
I think it's Lewis Milestone, right? Lewis Milestone won for Seventh Heaven.
Lewis Milestone won for 2 Arabian Nights.
Okay. Either way, I think.
Wait, hang on, because
it's 2 director winners that year.
The 2 director
again.
winners are also Frank.
Okay, so that would be Seventh Heaven then. Yeah.
One for Seventh Heaven, because they gave a comedy picture and a dramatic picture directing award.
So Lewis Milestone won for 2 Arabian Nights. Frank Herzog won for.
Notably, Wings not up for it. To fuck Wings. I think Murnau is like a very strong visual director, and I wanted to watch Sunrise. I just didn't have time for it. I probably would have loved it, knowing me.
Alex, did you watch Sunrise?
I did not get to watch Sunrise, which I'm very upset about. I had a very busy time. It does occur to me now that this is like Wings strikes me again, bringing it back to recent events, current events. We had the whole thing about like the best popular film versus like the best. This is ostensibly what the first Oscar season was the best. Like best popular film is the one that was, or in theory is going to be remembered. Sunrise, which has kind of been pushed aside. Like I'd never even heard of Sunrise before. Started doing research for this show, which again we've at least the people who have seen it have agreed that it is by far the better movie. Kind of got shunted. Excuse me, which is a real shame. I'm gonna try and get to it actually.
It's a very quick watch. Like it went by. I like literally watched it. Well, I was like, I have an hour and a half on my break here. I'm just gonna watch it, and like I just watched the whole thing. I was like, I only need like this much time to watch it. I'll just start it, and I watched the whole thing on my break. I was just like, wow, it flew. So.
Cool. Anybody else? Like was that it?
Break.
I watched Seventh Heaven, which I think.
Oh, you also watched Seventh Heaven? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I like it more than Wings, but not as much as Sunrise. But I think it's a charming love story about this guy who's a sewer worker, and then like he helps this like prostitute who's like getting abused, and they pretend to be married so that just to help her out. And then, like later, the romance grows. Don't want to spoil like much of the movie though. So, but it's yeah. Then he has to go to the war. So it's just like the war elements are definitely the weakest part. I'm also just a sucker for romances, and I think Janet Gaynor is once again just really great in the movie.
So I think that like collectively wraps up the extra credits. I mean, I think we can definitively say as a group that watched it, Wings did not deserve to win Best Picture at the first Academy Awards. Whether it was Sunrise, I think we all decided that Sunrise should have won Best Picture or been the Best Picture, and deserved its. Apparently, I guess we think Sunrise deserves its win, and probably should have won the collective and been the one we pick. But even Seventh Heaven apparently better than Wings. So, end of extra credit.
Fuck you, Wings. Apparently,
fuck you, Wings.
This is normally the part of the show where we would do the power rankings, but we've only
Wings number 1 by default.
Yeah, Wings number 1 by default.
Mm-hmm. Well. Did we want to throw Sunrise in there because it won the other Best Picture?
I
See,
think
personally, I'll make the show cleaner by saying no, just because it's not recognized as a Best Picture winner, and we're just gonna cover the recognized Best Picture winners. Otherwise, it would have been an episode of the show.
I think instead what we should do is say like, where is Wings? How many Best Picture winners have you seen, and where would Wings fall on that chart for you right now?
See, okay, so I can do that, but I also did the thing where I started a totally new list to build while we're doing the show.
That's totally fine.
Let me go look at my Best Pictures again.
Because mine is the easiest and cleanest to start. Wings is dead last for me. It is a fine technical achievement. Maybe it might even beat some of the stuff that's coming up soon that I've been told that I will not really be enjoying.
Yeah.
As a technical feat, I think it's interesting. I would probably I would love a how do they do this documentary about it.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
Kind of reminds me of the scene from The Aviator. In The Aviator, they do a thing very similar where they recreate a dogfighting filmmaking thing. It might even be Wings. I just don't remember it clearly enough. I don't think it is.
It's Hell's Angels.
Hell's Angels. Okay, but the very similar thing where they send a bunch of dogfighters up in the air and film them. They literally recreated for The Aviator how they did it. So I think a movie about the making of Wings could be cool.
Yeah. So it would for me it's dead last. This will be very close to the bottom when we're done with the show. I'm very confident in saying that. What about literally anybody else?
So I have it at 42 out of 43. It's sandwiched between 3 films that I despise as a whole being. But if I have to compare objectively, I think some of them are around maybe even lower than 1.5. But I think that they were at least technically they were very interesting. So it's they're sort of matched with Wings. It comes down to could I watch them again? It's I'd hate it, but I could. I don't think I could watch Wings again. If let's say I'm playing on because of deep cut, I'll watch the Wikipedia. Fuck it. I don't want to watch 2 hours and 20 minutes of this shit again. I hate it. I don't want to do it ever.
So I think this is probably the only time we'll actually do this where we're comparing it to what we've already seen. Because then from here on, it'll just be comparing to what we are watching now. Because I can guarantee you there are movies that I've seen that have won Best Picture that my opinion will change because I haven't seen them in a while. Movies like Titanic, I would put higher than Wings, but I don't even like Titanic from what I remember. So right now, I would put Wings at 38 of 39. I think there's only one movie that I've seen this one Best Picture that I think is worse than Crash or worse than Wings. Oops, slip of the words. Maybe. Yep, it's Crash. There you go. Spoiler: Crash is my worst. Anyway, maybe that'll change.
Yeah, it's your worst so far.
But right now, at the outset of having seen 39 Best Picture winners, Wings is the second worst that I've seen. I am, after this episode, deleting this list and starting completely over with the show and ranking them as we go, because my opinions will now be totally changed, both by seeing other Best Picture winners and also just seeing them fresh. But for now, I would say Wings is the second worst Best Picture winner I've seen.
Yeah. For me, it comes in a little higher. Out of the 67 or 68 Best Picture winners, I already deleted my list, so I can't check. But I think it came in around 53, somewhere in there. Towards the bottom, but not terrible. It like I said, it's a 3-star film for me. But no, there's definitely been much, much better than Wings.
Matthew?
Yeah, my list is pretty outdated. So yeah, I'm just making a whole new list with this. But I haven't hated any of the Best Picture winners I've seen, and because I thought Wings was okay, it's currently at my 48 out of 48.
Okay, so consensus pretty low for everybody.
Potentially.
None of us, yeah,
we still got a ways to go.
Yeah. Oh God, that's right. So it sounds like there's a lot of room for a lot of movies to find their way into our hearts, which is great because we have a lot. This show is going to take a very long time to complete.
Yeah, guys, by the time we are I think we will be through. We'll be a year into the show. We'll have done basically half the Best Picture winners, and a whole new Best Picture winner will have won. A whole Oscar season will have gone through by the time we get halfway through the series. By the time we're done with the series, 2 whole Oscar seasons will probably have come and gone, and we will have to tack on 2 extra episodes at the end to talk about The Batman and Avengers 5.
Or Dune
official
Part 2.
predictions right there.
No,
Oh, yeah. I want to no. I want to see Koho go to Hub talking about how Dune Part 2 and us keeping it super high just to piss him off.
If Dune Part 2 wins Best Picture, oh boy.
Well,
If mediocre Return of the King can.
Here's the thing. If you want me to genuinely just throw out a movie blind at this second to think about what we're talking about, I'll say Babylon. Like, I'll say we're probably talking about Babylon for the 95th Oscar winner for Best Picture. Because if anything, Chazelle's going to get his old Hollywood makeup for the fact that they fucking snubbed La La Land. You know exactly what my extra credit is in 2016, fuckers. We're doing La La Land Moonlight in about a year.
You've seen all of the nominees. We can just talk about all of them in general.
We're going to be doing La La Land versus Moonlight in a year and a half, and it'll be me v. Spence in a heat of battle. No, that's not true at all. Spence is also La La Land over Moonlight. Spence is also La La Land over Moonlight. I don't know who here is just real quick before we wrap up, because one last tangent. Who is actually Moonlight over La La Land in this call? Raise your hand. Spence, I thought you were La La Land over Moonlight.
No.
I like La La Land over Moonlight's a better movie.
Spence, you're siding with me, which means you're wrong.
So Jack and Spence are Moonlight is better than La La Land, and the rest of us are La La Land is better than Moonlight.
I'll be honest.
You haven't seen Moonlight?
I have seen Moonlight.
Okay.
But what I will not say is that I have no interest in watching Moonlight again. That movie is like hard to
That's valid.
Shit's a breeze. When he fucking like hits Gabe with the chair.
No,
man,
no, it's not.
I can watch that shit on repeat.
No, you know what movie's actually a breeze though, but unfortunately I can't watch it for this because it didn't get nominated for Best Picture.
We're not watching Requiem for a Dream, Jack.
We're not watching Requiem for a Dream.
Anyway.
Fucking breeze.
No.
Matthew, you're La La Land over Moonlight, right?
I am, yes.
Hell yeah. Matthew and I versus Spence and Jack. It'll be great.
Alex is a tiebreaker.
Alex will definitely
we make friends by punching each other, right?
Yep, that's how we do it. Yep.
Yeah.
In 6 months, we can prove that's real.
Wait, it's 6 months?
October.
Yeah, what's in October? What movie are you
LA.
referencing that we're gonna get to?
LA.
Oh.
Our
In
thing,
person.
not podcast.
I thought you meant the podcast. I was
No.
like, what movie wins in
Have
the next
you scheduled this show out so far in advance?
Rocky.
what movie wins in the next
If we're covering
40
Rocky,
weeks.
then we just fucking punch each other for the whole review.
I was gonna say, what movie wins in the next 15 weeks that you think encapsulates making friends by punching each other?
How does the math work on that? So it'd be like, oh, so it's been like Casablanca time, isn't it?
We will probably be doing Casablanca live from LA. We will probably be doing Casablanca live in LA.
That'd be so fucking cool. That'd be so fucking cool, though.
Spence and I will be in the same place in LA on the last day, talking about Casablanca.
Be so
Yelling into the same mic. That'll be great. That'll be so exciting
It'll
for
be
us.
so funny. Then we will actually start punching each other. What'll happen is I'll probably bring my laptop and I'll sit in a different room.
And anything else we need to talk about?
I think it's good, right?
As it sits now, what is everyone's favorite Best Picture winners?
Birdman.
Look at the intro to the show.
Birdman or The
Yes.
Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance right now is my favorite Best Picture.
Interesting. I thought you'd go No Country personally.
No Country's number 2.
Wow, I got them mixed up then. Mine's Return of the King. That's no secret.
Mine is also Return of the King.
Mine is Parasite.
Parasite.
Oh yeah. Parasite.
What movie is most likely to supplant that movie that you have not seen yet?
Here's the thing.
Oh.
I have no idea.
God.
I have no idea.
Okay.
Or this at the start of the show. What is the movie that you haven't seen yet that you are most excited to see?
Probably
You know, that's a
Crash.
great question. Everyone else go first while I figure this out.
Everyone else go first before I can
Wait,
see.
okay, let me see. I gotta look at the winners first.
So,
For me,
Alex, how about you fill the time?
Alex, you go first.
I'll be honest. I am really looking forward to watching. You're gonna be so mad at me. You're all gonna be so mad. No, I'm actually really looking forward to watching The Apartment. I've never seen it.
Oh, hell yeah.
nice.
I'm really excited about it. There's also there's a bunch of stuff. Like again, I've never seen. Just to give you all more time to fill. I haven't seen a lot of these Best Picture winners, and to be perfectly honest, I haven't seen a lot of like the more famous movies that probably you'd think that I probably should have. So like stuff like The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 is stuff that like I guess I'm interested in seeing for the first time, but like it's more just to get it off of the list, just to like get Caleb Boatman off my back, because he was like, have you seen anything before 1980? And I was like, yes. Technically speaking, I have.
I'll say two movies that are like really big for me that it's like I'm looking forward to finally watching them are like Casablanca and The Lost Weekend are like two where it's like I've never seen them and I've been meaning to.
Oh,
and those are
both
two
are
where it's like
fantastic.
those are gonna be huge things to check off on this show. But if I had to guess anything that could end up being my favorite Best Picture winner over like Birdman, I would say, not counting anything that I rewatch, the movie that probably has the best chance is something like The Deer Hunter or Kramer versus Kramer, which I'm like
That's
excited to watch as well. I will say the one conversation that I know I'm really excited to have is when we get to 77, so I can watch Annie Hall to get Boatman to absolutely shut the fuck up when I say Star Wars should have won. Because then I can say to Annie Hall, I've seen Annie Hall, and then say Star Wars deserved to win.
I agree with you, and I've seen Annie Hall.
Fair.
So I can say pretty confidently. I think 3 movies are the only ones that have a chance to upset Moonlight, and that's The Last Weekend, which you've already mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You Can't Take It With You.
Good movie.
And All the King's Men.
Good movie.
Those are the only ones I think have any chance. Other than that, I'm gonna be sitting pretty for the next 2 years.
I will say I'm very excited to go through all the ones we haven't seen, right? But I'm always looking forward to then getting to ones where it's like I've seen that and I'm ready to rewatch that. Where it's like to get to West Side Story and The Apartment and The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 and The Staying and Birdman and No Country, like once and Parasite, like to get to watch the ones where it's like I know I love these. So I'm excited to just take a week where I get to watch a movie that I know I like. Whereas like when we go through the 50s, I've heard the 50s and the 80s are like slogs for Best Picture winners. Where it's like we're gonna have to sit down and watch like The Last Emperor and like Terms of Endearment and things where it's like so long and I don't care. Chariots of Fire, like I'm not looking forward to the 80s whatsoever.
Driving Miss Daisy, 99 minutes feels 3 hours long.
What
When we get to
feels
61, I'm gonna watch both West Side Story just so I can tell Coho categorically that Spielberg's is better.
See, here's the thing. I'm not watching 2020. I'm like when I do 61, I'm watching another movie from 61 that's nominated for Best Picture extra credit. But I will say when we get back to 2021, I will watch 2021's West Side Story as the extra credit for Coda. Because then I will be able to go, okay, now I have at least within recency of like there'll be 50. There'll be almost a year between the two. But I will have like it's been fresh enough where it's like I've seen 61's West Side Story, and when we get there, I will have seen 2021's West Side Story again. Like I'll probably have seen it just in my free time another 2 times before we get to the rewatch of the original, and then I'll rewatch the new one again. So like I'll have seen the new one versus the original close enough to make that comparison when we get to that episode. But like I'll gladly make that do that conversation twice, just a year apart. Which is nuts. That's gonna be like almost a full year between West Side Story and Coda. Almost a full year between us talking about those two. So
dang.
Yeah, West Side Story is going to come just a little over the first year of doing this. We'll get to West Side Story.
Shit.
So look forward to those discussions coming in. Oh God,
so long.
Yeah,
I
so
will say.
long.
I will also say the decade that I am most looking forward to is the 70s. I think that run in the 70s is going to be so much fun. Where it's like I've never seen Patton or The French Connection or Deer Hunter or Kramer versus Kramer. I've seen everything else. So it's like we get to do the walk again where it's like Godfather, The Sting, The Godfather Part 2, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Rocky, which is just like a banger run of movies to watch. And the extra credits for those also bangers where it's like in 72, I'll probably watch something like Deliverance because I've already seen Cabaret and I won't expose myself to Cabaret again. Or I'll watch like The Sting and I get to watch like American Graffiti. And like we get to watch like all sorts of movies where it's like, you know, Network and Star Wars and like we get to treat ourselves to like Murder on the Orient Express and like Apocalypse Now. The original Murder on the Orient Express is a phenomenal film. I'll say that.
Actually, I just wanted to make you angry.
That's fair. Albert Finney's not good in it and does not deserve his Oscar nomination. But that movie, mint. Lumet does a great job with Agatha Christie property.
I just looked at the 80s and I'm low-key not excited at all.
No, the 80s, genuinely, like looking at it.
The extra credits I'm going to do
at
for the 80s is so much better than the actual movies I have to watch for the 80s.
Like, let's be honest. The only 2 movies in the 80s that we'll probably watch and go, okay, yeah, are like Ordinary People, maybe. Rain Man, probably.
Ordinary People's a banger. Honestly,
I mean, Amadeus, we're going to watch and go, yeah, because Amadeus makes sense.
Amadeus will agree on is.
I mean, I've seen Amadeus. I'm mostly looking at the ones where it's like, I haven't seen that. Where it's like, I haven't seen Gandhi. Maybe it deserves it. I don't know.
Last time
I haven't
saw
seen Rain
Gandhi
Man.
was
Maybe it
in
deserves it.
10th
I don't know.
grade.
But then we have to end that decade with Driving Miss Daisy, and we finally all can check off Driving Miss Daisy, aka Green Book Part 1.
I've seen
We're
it.
gonna so roast Driving Miss Daisy. I can tell. There's
I
like a
can't wait
bunch of
for the
movies
roast
that I
of
can
Driving
tell,
Miss
like,
Daisy.
oh, we're gonna roast this.
Well, the episode I like am so excited for in 2 years is when we get to 2018, where like I've seen all the nominees, so I like can do the whole conversation of like now that I've watched Green Book again, and I'll probably rewatch a couple of the nominees that I don't remember very well, and we can have the full on like fight of what should have beat Green Book. Because my answer, as we stand, is Black Panther. I think Black Panther should have won Best Picture in 2018.
My answer, as we stand, is literally anything. Literally any of the other movies.
All of those movies are better than Green Book.
Not true.
Go rap.
I'll stand right now. There are 2 movies that are worse than Green Book.
You were saying Roma, and fuck you. Fuck you. Roma is great.
Roma and The Favorite are
Vice.
worse than Green Book in 2018.
My personal
Anyway, that's been your episode this week.
It has been your episode this week. But don't worry, we have more episodes. Like we said, this is going to be our next 2 years.
Yes.
Hopefully people watch and or enjoy the show.
Next week is The Broadway Melody.
Yeah,
which
next
is our
week,
last movie from the 1920s.
coming soon to this channel near you. We have The Broadway Melody. After that, we have All Quiet on the Western Front. And the week after that, we will be going to Cimarron. Oh my God, this is gonna be a weird run. I can already tell.
I'm more. Is it weird that I'm more excited for the extra credits for all those weeks? Where it's like,
no, it's not weird.
All
Except
Quiet's
for
gonna
All
be a
Quiet on
banger.
the Western
I'll bet on that right now. That's gonna be fucking great.
Sure, but like I'm more excited about watching like In Old Arizona than the Broadway Melody. I'm more excited to watch like Disraeli than All Quiet. I'm definitely more excited to watch Skippy than I am Cimarron. I'm way more interested in watching Skippy. So
Yeah.
Fair enough. So I think Jack, really, what you got to do is you got to take us home.
All right. Well,
End the show.
have a marvelous day.
goodbye.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Bye.